conversation is that everybody is wooing Africa. Everybody is wooing Africa. And they're not doing it because they suddenly find Africa and its people pleasurable. That's not the case. That there's something that they're after. Good leadership would demand that this can be seen for what it actually is, and that not go to the people who essentially vomited on your shoes over and over again. France is a typical example of that. But that notwithstanding, the Kenya-France summit is happening next week. That France and its businesses and its government will come back and they will have a conversation about Kenya, who interestingly has been chosen as the spokesperson. They've given it a fancy name. But the truth of the matter is that Kenya has been chosen as the spokesperson to take the good name of France across the continent. What would good leadership dictate or demand that happens when another country is coming into your space, essentially to tell you that forget about all the things we said about you before, but we realize that there's a place that we can benefit here and give us another chance. That's what's happening, but we don't seem to see it.
Well, there's this, I think she's Ghanaian or she's Nigerian. She's called Ama Aitu. I think she's Ghanaian.
She is.
Ama, probably one of the great writers of West Africa, said that we've had a relationship for 500 years. We've had a relationship for 500 years with Europeans. And all they brought us was tuberculosis. They didn't have tuberculosis. We didn't have it here, Yes. And then they took the gold and everything. So we have to get out of this rhetoric of they took it, they did this. What did they do? We have to get out of that. That's a victimhood. We don't want that. We want to be Africa. We want a renaissance in this continent. I think that this French incursion into an English-speaking country shows you the desperate nature of the failure of the French Republic in Africa. And the very idea that they could not go to Togo. Togo speaks French, right? To make them the spokesman. Well, how do they want us to make them a spokesman? We speak English. It just doesn't make sense. And you know what? They gave their soldiers, they're bringing their soldiers here too, freedom from prosecution, like the English ones, The English ones have been raping women in Samburu. Did you know that? Well, mass rape. Okay. It's true.
Hashi,
they were sued in court. I'm not saying something that is controversial.
I understand.
They were sued in London for rape when the British Army installation here in Nyanyuki.
Yes.
Yeah. It's in the public record. I'm not saying anything controversial. They actually were sued. And the British government itself has replied to it and said, we are going to give compensation to those women. It's not I'm not saying, this is not me.
Yeah.
I'm just restating what's in the public domain. And you can Google that. I mean, people need to Google things to figure these things out. So if the British soldiers were doing that and our Kenya government was letting them go, the American soldiers come to Mombasa, they kill Njoki, they go back to the ship and go to America because they don't have, the laws don't apply to them. It's kind of sovereign clause. And the French have applied for the same thing because they know that we are not militant. We are going to just, be nice.
Come along,
And I'm a militant. I'm a partisan of militancy. I believe it has a space in the political economy of our country. And I think that just telling the truth has become such a big problem. And can you imagine of those who are much more radical, who want absolute change? What will they do to them? I'm a liberal who is looking for a constitutional, parliamentary, legal way of change. If you get that underground, people are going to go to the underground as well. So I think that we ought to end our sojourn with these folks. And in a way, there's this guy from Martinique. Is it from Martinique? He's called Ahmed. He's I think he's Haitian. You should Google that before the show goes out. So Ahmed wrote a book called My Native Something. When I was in college, I used to remember these things, but I'm getting older now. So he said, I remember a line from that book, which says that we have a rendezvous we all have space in the table we all have space at the table here in this continent. And what we ought to do is to get the leadership that brings us all to the table so that we can have our chow mein, just the way the Chinese are having theirs.
Yes.
And we don't have to share our chow mein with other people because that's exploitation. So we want to end exploitation. And you can see that France has invaded Mali, for an example. Just to give President Ruto a heads up, he sent so-called Islamist terrorists. Do you know, every time you don't agree with Europe, there's an insurgency that happens in your country. Or there's civil conflict, or there's massive demonstrations. Like in Iran, it's funded by the Mossad, and then they caught them, said, oh, here are the people who are funding the revolution. The revolution in Iran. So, France invaded Mali, they're near Bamako, and they're demanding Goïta, the president of Mali, to tow the French line, or the Islamic terrorists are going to come into Bamako. Wake up and smell the coffee, my dear brothers and sisters. It's just, a high school student can analyze that and say, what's that? What is this? That's a sovereign country that changed and threw them out, and they're forcing themselves upon Mali. Now, if there's any other example of that mission civilisatrice, I don't know what else to say.
And this country, the same one that's purporting these things, has not suddenly changed, because